So I'm out here today with my good friend Mike. Mike is in law enforcement. He's been with the Sheriff's Department for 30 years, a lieutenant actually. And I've known Mike for years. We're out here training today, brought his two daughters out. If you want to check out some of that training, please come over to my Patreon channel where Mike and I are going to discuss a little bit more about what's happening socially, go over a little bit of training, nothing too heavy. But please come over to my Patreon channel. It helps to support this channel, helps to support the message. And I want to thank everybody who has come over to Patreon. But right now, on this beautiful evening here in Southern California, Mike, what are you seeing on the streets of America as we are entering the worst depression America has ever seen?
Well, we are definitely seeing an uptick in crime. A lot of property crimes, vehicle burglaries, residential burglaries. We're seeing actually a lot of package thefts as well because people are staying home, essentially because of the economy and the virus, and people are ordering things online. And unfortunately, the criminals are taking advantage of that and following FedEx drivers, UPS drivers around and seeing if they're going to leave packages and then, unfortunately, steal them.
So as the economy gets worse, we're going to see more of this.
Oh, we'll see a lot more of it.
What about violent crime?
Violent crime, I would imagine that will go up. I mean, look at across the United States.
Yeah, most of the large urban cities are up about 37% with homicide.
Homicide, shootings. So it's imperative that you take care of yourself and you take care of your family.
So, as we're just walking around the range here, wrapping it up, I'm seeing the food lines all over California. I'm seeing food lines all over America, whether that's Florida, Texas, Midwest, Chicago, 15 blocks along of food lines in Chicago over the holidays. Absolutely incredible. Mike, what are people going to do when they get hungry, when those government subsidy checks run out, when people are forced to be evicted, when the expiration dates hit with the rent moratoriums? What are people capable of? I think a lot of people believe that people just will wait in line for food and that the government's going to feed them forever. But what if that stops? What are people going to do?
Well, I personally believe there's a lot of great people out there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of criminals out there. And in cases like this, the criminals take advantage of people's niceness and steal property and take advantage of people that and normally in a refreshed economy wouldn't happen.
So basically, guys, security is a huge asset, and there are going to be good people, in my opinion, that are going to have to do some bad things because their kids are going to be starving, they don't have a place to live, they're going to be homeless, and they're going to do some bad things. So I cannot stress enough the importance of having security, being self-reliant. So that's a great asset. But Mike, where do you see this economy going? I see personally, I talk about it on a daily basis, bond bubble, stock market bubble, real estate bubble. I've never seen so many bubbles, and this to me is so dangerous for this country.
Well, I'd say watch your home. Right now, everybody's essentially using their home as like an ATM. Make your mortgage payments. Be responsible. Watch out for your family. There's no way in telling how bad this market's going to get, but right now it doesn't look good.
So you saw my video the other day when I was at the coffee house, Dutch Brothers. Probably very good coffee. I'm not here to criticize that, and I hope they're doing a great business. But 70, 80 cars in line for a cup of coffee. And isn't it interesting? That's right when people were getting the stimulus check. And so how fast people get that check and are out spending money on things that really aren't necessary. Any advice on people that are getting a check right now, whether that's an unemployment check, the $300 benefit, a stimulus check? Where should that money be going?
I'd probably save the money because you're going to have to feed yourself, and especially if you're responsible for a family, because you never know where this future is going to bring us, essentially. Yeah,
or how long this is going to last. So Mike brought up a good point about being an independent, free-thinking person, and this is probably one of the most important times to be a critical thinker. Mike, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the basic concept in saving and especially in an uncertain economy is to, for myself, save for 6 months in case something drastic happens. There's a big shutdown, power outages. You want to have that nest egg to last at minimally 6 months before it rebuilds itself, or you rebuild your own your savings or your your job loss, if that does happen. There's a lot of things that are unknown at this time.
Myself personally, I know people that have lost jobs, family members that have lost jobs. You know anybody in the family, anybody connected to you that's lost their job?
I have several people that work in the private sector, restaurant owners, bar owners, hospitality industry, all lost their jobs. And unfortunately, it seemed to happen overnight. And once in the hospitality industries, what they were telling me, my friends, these were cash businesses that they were doing very well week by week. But when that money runs out abruptly, then they don't plan or they don't forecast for 2 or 3 months ahead of the game, because this has never happened before. This is unparalleled.
So a lot of people are being taken by surprise right now, completely unprepared for what's happening right now. And, people, say to me, it's like, oh, I'm so sick about hearing about this collapse. When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? It's like, it's already happening. In fact, what Mike just said, some people he knows, some people I know, they've already collapsed. They've lost the job. They had no money put away. They have $1,000 lease payment on the BMW or the Mercedes. They don't know when they're going back to work. The job that they used to have, the company they work for, is completely, permanently closed down. They've collapsed. Their life is in emergency mode right now. They have collapsed. And for people out there to say, when's the collapse going to happen? It's happening to tens of millions of people right now who are jobless, who have no money saved up. 80% of the people in this country, 80% of the average Americans last year in 2019 lived paycheck to paycheck. All right, 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And now there's no paycheck coming in other than maybe an unemployment check. And how long is that going to last? And what happens when it expires? What's going to happen when these evictions and forbearances expire? There's going to be huge winners and losers here, because there are loans on those properties for the landlords, for the people that bought houses. They made loans. You got a commercial mortgage-backed security market that's going to implode. You got the Fed buying up 33% of these mortgage-backed securities. There are lenders, there are borrowers, and there are going to be people that win and lose in this whole thing. And unfortunately, I think a lot of Americans are going to lose here because of massive debt. In closing, Mike, as we wrap it up here, beautiful day, by the way, any last words of advice you can give people, as this is going to be, as we enter 2021, I think it's going to be much worse than 2020, because the rubber is going to meet the road here. Reality is coming to America. Any advice you can give people who are struggling right now, who maybe can't save any money because they don't have any money to save? What do you say to those people who don't have the job now, waiting on an unemployment check that may not be coming for a couple weeks, and we're going to get the $600 crumbs from the government? They're going to give us crumbs. Any words of advice?
Just keep your family together. Things eventually will get better, but there's no saying on how long that will take to get better. So prepare for the worst, and remember, stay safe and keep your family together. It's not the end of the world. Things will eventually get better down the road, but right now it's very questionable.
I think that's really good advice right there. Stay close to the family. In fact, there's a lot of people out there that are going to be forced to move back home. You may have already done it, and that may be the best thing. A lot of people have this ego that they can't move back home, don't want to move in with a relative. You may have to do that and get your ego out of the way, because if that's what enables you to pay the debts down, save money, that's probably the best thing you can do. And I think we're going to see, from what I see all these cars out here parked, 5 cars, 6 cars, 7 cars in a driveway. People have been doing that for the last year, and more people are going to continue to do it. But Mike brings up a great point. Stay with your family, stay tight, have that network, whether that's family or friends. It's so important now to have people that have your back, who are going to help you, support you in any way possible. Maybe even a church. This is going to be a whole different type of world here, ladies and gentlemen, as we enter 2021. And nobody has a crystal ball, but most of us can see where all this is going. When you have massive unemployment like this, when you have so much uncertainty out there, so much debt, as we're approaching $28 trillion of government debt, the country's bankrupt, it's going to get ugly. and it will get better at some point. But you're gonna have to weather the storms. So you really have to be economically or fiscally responsible right now. If you're getting that stimulus check, if you're getting that unemployment check, be careful with it, because we've got a lot of rainy days ahead of us, and this is going to be, I think, a really, really harsh year for so many people. And like Mike said, stay close to your family. Mike, suicide rate going through the roof. Can you close with anything with that?
Well, unfortunately, we don't like to see anybody hurt themselves or suicide or anybody become injured. But that's why I say another thing is positive encouragement with others. Stay close to your family, and it's not the end of the world. Things will eventually get better. We live in the best country in the world, so just hold on to that.
Yeah, so let's keep it positive, and let's stay close to our family and friends. Let's keep walking close to God. We will make it through this. But be responsible, ladies and gentlemen. You are responsible for you. That means economically, physically, and spiritually. So walk close to God. Thanks for watching. Talk to all of you very, very soon.